Well, again, my name is Gabe Zollner. Before It's News has an interesting little article, and it's titled New Details on Newtown Shootings Released by State Attorney. And the State Attorney is a gentleman by the name of Stephen J. Sadisky III. And he's the attorney for the Judicial District of Danbury. And what he did is he released a lot of information that they've been able to obtain based on a number of search warrants that were filed in regard to Adam Lanza, his mother, obviously their home and their vehicles. And he goes on and he talks about how many casings were found and the caliber of the rifle. Again, they're saying it's a Bushmaster. And the fact that he killed himself with a 10mm, I believe, Glock, and then he had a SIG 226, which is a 9mm on his person. They go on and on and on and on, and they talk about all that. But see, there's still a whole lot of questions that I believe are unanswered. Now, I made mention of this in a number of videos earlier on when this incident actually took place. Let's talk for a moment, if we can, about the videos that were shown to us by one of the main news outlets that was proven to be untrue. The video that was shown was of a school where the police did an exercise. It was also in Connecticut, but it wasn't in Newtown, Connecticut. Anyway, and then the other questions that I have never been addressed, and I've voiced this a number of times, is how is it that none of the videos were made available? A year prior to this incident taking place, the school district, the school in particular, had sent out letters to the parents letting them know that security cameras have been installed both in and throughout the outside of the school. Well, how come none of those videos have ever surfaced? None. Not a single one. The other things that I find very confusing is that initially we were told that, again, he used the Bushmaster, and then we were told that the police found the Bushmaster in the trunk of his mother's Pontiac. And later on, we were told, when I say later on, most recently, we're told that he actually drove his Honda Civic to the school, and in the glove box was a fully loaded 12-gauge shotgun. Well, I don't know what kind of Honda Civic has space for a 12-gauge shotgun. So I don't understand why that would have been reported the way it was reported. And according to what I've been able to find out in the media, the vehicle that his mother owned was not a Pontiac. It was, in fact, a BMW. So there's a whole lot of areas that are somewhat confusing, which in my mind makes them somewhat disturbing. We also find, according to this article that was, again, published by Before It's News, Stephen J. Sadisky III had stated that they found a lot of books over at the home where Adam Lanza resided with his mother, and these books, they talked about autism. Obviously, this individual was mentally deranged, if he, in fact, even ever existed. But in either case, let's assume that he did exist, and let's assume that this actually did happen. The simple fact that these books indicate that this individual might have had a whole lot of mental issues, which explains his actions. At the same time, the way this article ends, which I think is somewhat disturbing, it's, quote, "This is exactly why we need to ban high-capacity magazines and why we need to tighten our assault weapons ban. I don't know what more we can need to know before we take decisive actions to prevent gun violence. The time to act is now," end of quote. Well, I don't understand how this is going to end gun violence, number one, because the majority, I'm talking the majority of murders that are committed with guns are done with illegal, unregistered, either stolen or bought on the street weapons. They're not done by your law-abiding citizen. And the only ones that will be made to suffer if any of these idiotic bans, like the one that Diane Frankenstein wants to enforce, the only ones that will suffer are the law-abiding American citizens. And they will become targets of prey for the bad guys that have not only semi-automatic, but I'm certain they have fully automatic weapons as well. You know, it's really crazy. You know, you live in one state and you have a concealed carry permit, and you want to travel through some other states, you really have to be careful that you read the laws. Like if you were to go from, let's say, Arizona, and you had a CCW, and you wanted to go to Las Vegas, and you decided to go along Highway 15, and you ended up in California, if you got stopped, you were in deep doo-doo. You know, you could have all the permits that were given to you in Arizona. California doesn't recognize any of those. And you can't even have the weapon. The weapon could be cased, and the ammunition could be in a box, but if they're in close proximity, like if they're both together in the trunk, that's illegal. You know, they got to be separated. They have to be locked and separated. So you could have the gun in the trunk locked and the ammo in the glove box or in the car. You can't have them where they're both accessible. Yeah, you see, they have legislators that are nuts, that don't understand what they're doing. That's why they put these stupid laws into effect. But anyway, I'm digressing. Back to this whole thing with Adam Lanza. If it happened, and I still say if it happened, because I don't necessarily believe that it did happen, you're never going to prevent a mentally deranged person from doing what he or she chooses to do. That became evident in Aurora, Colorado. Just look at the guy. The guy looks like he's a nutcase. The Tucson shooter, another nutcase. They all look like they're mentally disturbed. The other thing I don't understand, they keep showing that one photograph of Adam Lanza. He looks like he's about 12 years old. I wonder why that is. And they've never explained this thing with his him having his brother's driver's license when he hadn't spoken to his brother in, what, well over a year. I mean, there's just so many things that don't make any sense. But, hey, you know, it's the Obama way. Nothing that he does makes any sense. Will this thing bring an end? Absolutely not. Not until all the other questions are answered. And again, where are the videos? They're supposed to have been made available, because the letters that went out to the families all stated that all of the school, both inside and outside, all the grounds, are under video surveillance. How come that was never mentioned? How come the situations with the cars were never mentioned? How come the news media never apologized for showing us what they said was Sandy Hook when it wasn't Sandy Hook? It was a school exercise. There's just so much. How is it that parents that supposedly lost their children could be so composed to be able to go to the White House and talk about the loss of their children 1 week after the event? I have 4 children. If, God forbid, anything like that happened to any one of them, I'd probably be under sedation for at least a month. I mean, none of it makes any sense. Absolutely none of it. And the thing to me that I find most disgusting is Obama. What does he do? Well, he surrounds himself with little children. And he tries to get people emotions, you know, risen. And he pulls at their heartstrings. Yet he's also okay with late-term abortions where they push a pin through a child who's alive. A late-term abortion. They push a pin through its brain to kill it. Or they suck its brain out with some vacuum device. Yeah, this is the same guy that's so concerned about the well-being of little children. Yeah, sure you are. You know what? You got the Nobel Prize. You should have gotten an Academy Award for your acting. Because that's all it is. That's all it's ever been with you. Nothing but a big act. You don't exist as the person that you pretend to be. No, you're nothing but a big act. And I hope that Justice Moore pulls the curtain down on your act, along with all of your co-conspirators. We'll see. We'll see.